We asked AI to roast our favorite fighters, and I did not expect what ChatGPT came up with. So basically, the prompt is up on screen right now. This is what we asked it, and then we just replaced the name of each favorite fighter. So in total, we both picked our 8 favorite fighters. My favorite fighters, we're exposing ourselves here a little bit.
Yeah, read them off. Read off your 8 favorite fighters.
I'm a casual. Yeah, I know.
Casual.
You know what? But I couldn't lie. I didn't want to lie. I didn't want to pick like Loner Kavanaugh, you know, because ChatGPT wouldn't know who that is. My favorite fighters: Ilia Topuria, Tom Aspinall, Justin Gaethje, Alex Pereira, Whitaker, Diego Lopez, Charles Oliveira, and of course, the GOAT, John Dodson.
And then my favorite fighters, I have a little bit more taste. Paddy Pimblett, Shavkat Rakhmonov.
So I have more taste. Starts off with Paddy Pimblett. That's crazy.
Sean Strickland, Max Holloway, Sean O'Malley, Song Yidong, Wang Kong, and Zhang Weili.
I sense a certain ethnic pattern here. Yeah, so that's our favorite fighters. And then we basically put into ChatGPT and it wrote us like whole ass paragraphs.
Yeah, like this is 5 paragraphs each, basically.
So this is going to be a banger video. Let's get right into it so you guys can see what level of roasting we're talking about. I asked ChatGPT to roast Paddy Pimblett, or I asked it to roast Dylan based on Paddy Pimblett being his favorite fighter. Oh, Dylan, Paddy Pimblett? Really? Let's unpack this tragic life choice of yours. First off, you've essentially chosen the UFC equivalent of a TikTok influencer as your favorite fighter. Paddy's haircut looks like it was stolen from the Beetlejuice audition reel. And somehow you probably think it's iconic. Let me guess, Dylan. You were sitting there watching his fights with a bowl cut of your own, dreaming of scarfing down a post-fight pizza like a Wish.com Conor McGregor. Do you like him because his unbeatable charisma, or are you just mesmerized by the way he turns every fight into a glorified pub brawl? Paddy's ground game, mediocre. Striking, below average. Cardio, let's just say I've seen asthmatic toddlers last longer.
What?
His fight IQ is so low, it might actually be in the negatives, and yet you're out here standing him like he's the second coming of GSP. And let's talk about his trash talk. Paddy couldn't roast a marshmallow, let alone his opponent. But hey, maybe you can relate to him on the level because your comebacks probably pack the same punch as his left hook. Weak and easily countered. What? All right, it's kind of falling off right now. Here's the kicker. The man ballooning up between fights faster than you do for Thanksgiving dinner. That's accurate. Is that why you like him, Dylan? Because you both embody the concept of bulk season gone wrong? That's crazy. It's actually like, that's kind of personal.
Yeah, I'm getting fat shamed.
Honestly, if Paddy is your favorite fighter, I don't even need to roast you further. Your life choices already did that for me. But if you're still proud, remember this. Your guy is one decision loss away from becoming the British Ryan Hall, and we both know how tragic that is. That's actually a deep cut from ChatGPT. So Dylan, maybe it's time to reevaluate your heroes or keep hyping Paddy, I guess. It's just nice knowing I'll always have something to clown you about.
That is crazy. That was I feel like that's longer than mine is.
Is it? Well, that's good. I don't want them to be that long.
I know.
It was writing like whole ass essays out here.
After I just got roasted about my favorite fighter, like I'm a little bit rattled. So sorry if I stumble here, guys.
Oh, this is
moving on to Ilia Topuria for Lucas. Lucas likes Ilia Topuria, huh? That's cute. Let me break it down for him. Liking Ilia Topuria is basically screaming, I'm here for the hype train because I have no identity of my own. Lucas, do you even know who Ilia is beyond the highlight reel? Or are you just copying what the MMA forums told you to like this week? Let me guess, you bought a fake Georgian flag off Amazon just to pretend you're inspired by his
No way.
roots?
Does it actually say that? No way. Wait, we have to get the Georgian flag. Hold on. No way actually wrote that. That's crazy.
Do you see him as unbeatable, bro? This is the same guy who nearly got turned into a meme by Jai Herbert, a lightweight who couldn't knock out a mannequin on his best day. And Ilia barely pulled himself together because Herbert left his chin hang like your excuses after losing in an argument.
Hey, come on.
You probably think liking him makes you tough, right? Newsflash. Watching another man fight doesn't make you dangerous. You're the guy who screams ground and pound, bro, while eating chips and wiping your hand on your discount UFC merch.
No, this wasn't discount.
You've attached your fragile ego to a guy who only talks trash on Twitter and struggles to stay relevant outside his division. Ilia might be 14-0, but let's face it, his most dangerous opponent will be an actual featherweight with real cardio.
All right, buddy.
All right. You've backed
Max Holloway.
You've backed a fighter who's all bark and barely any substance. Just like you, Lucas. Both of you are walking around hoping no one realizes bravado, no backbone.
I can't believe it said that about the Georgian flag. Like, that's actually crazy. I just read a little bit of them before, and I read one of yours, Dylan, and it's like, it's actually scary how accurate it is. It's the very last one.
Oh.
So make sure you guys stick around for the last fighter. The last fighter that you had
Was it Brian Battle?
Brian Battle. We added a bonus
We
one.
added a bonus one because
Yeah.
I forgot about him.
Okay, let's move on to your second fighter, Dylan. Shavkat Rakhmonov. Oh, Dylan. Shavkat. I love how it starts with Oh, Dylan every time. Oh, Dylan. Shavkat Rakhmonov. That's your favorite fighter? The guy who looks like he wandered out of a 13th century Genghis Khan cosplay convention? Let's be real. You didn't pick Shavkat because you know anything about MMA. You picked him because you saw the furry hat and thought, finally, someone who's as culturally clueless as me. Do you even know why you like him? Or did you just Google underrated UFC fighters so you could sound edgy? Shavkat isn't even a personality. He's a blank slate. You might as well have chosen a refrigerator as your favorite fighter, Dylan. At least the fridge is useful and doesn't have you Googling his highlight reel to prove to people why you picked him. Oh, and congrats on picking a guy whose biggest personality trait is that he doesn't have one. You're out here acting like he's the next big thing while the rest of us are trying to remember if we've ever even heard him talk. His post-fight interviews are so dry, they make Dana White look like a motivational speaker. Let me guess, you love Shavkat because you think it makes you look like a real fan, like you're too deep in MMA trenches to like someone mainstream. Newsflash, Dylan, nobody's impressed by your hipster fighter pick. Shavkat could win a title tomorrow, he probably will, and you'd still be the guy in the corner mumbling about how he was better before everyone else knew him. That's accurate. Here's the reality check. Shavkat is a monster in the cage, but you're not Shavkat. You're the guy sitting on your couch with Cheeto dust on your shirt, pretending you'd last more than 15 seconds in the octagon. Stop living vicariously through his undefeated record and start working on your cardio, Dylan, or at least your personality.
Like, I don't think that was as bad as Patty.
No, it wasn't.
But, like, wow.
Yeah, I feel like it probably has more information on Patty.
Probably.
You know, it's hard to like get ChatGPT to roast you because it doesn't know like the actual ins and outs of UFC. It just knows it's a casual.
Yeah. Moving on to the real heavyweight champion, Tom Aspinall. Oh, Lucas likes Tom Aspinall? Well, that explains a lot. Rooting for Tom Aspinall is the same as saying, I'm too scared to pick a real fighter, so I went with the guy with the least offensive personality. Lucas, you're not even a real fan. You're a casual with commitment issues.
Oh, wow.
Tom is basically the Costco version of a heavyweight. He's well-rounded but so unremarkable that you could replace him with any random dude at a pub, and no one would notice. You probably think he's the future of the division, but let's be honest, Lucas. The guy can't even stay uninjured for 5 minutes. He spends more time rehabbing than fighting. Sounds familiar, Lucas? Maybe that's why you like him. Both of you are fragile. Do you watch his fights and tell yourself, this guy is just like me because that's the only explanation for picking the human personification of Matt? You're probably clinging to his polite interviews as if it makes him relatable. Sorry to break it to you, but being nice doesn't win belts, and neither does ducking serious competition.
What do you mean he's ducking serious competition?
Face it, Lucas. You've hedged your hopes to a guy who's one awkward slip away from being sidelined for another year. But I guess that tracks because you too are the kind of person who takes 3 days off of work for a paper cup. Aspinall might have potential, but guess what? So do you, and look how you turned out.
So that last line really cut deep.
Dang, that was mean. Like, that's actually mean.
Yeah, that's like personal. Can we stop the recording now? It's not funny anymore. Let's move on to Sean Strickland. This one should be very interesting. Oh, Dylan, of course your favorite fighter is Sean Strickland. You might as well walk around with a giant neon sign that says, I peaked in my online arguments. Liking Strickland is less about loving MMA and more about announcing to the world that you have zero emotional intelligence and think saying wildly offensive things counts as a personality. That is maybe the most accurate thing it's ever said. Let me guess, you watch his interviews and feel seen for the first time in your life because he talks like the human embodiment of a Reddit comment section. Sean Strickland is basically what happens when you let a middle school bully grow up and somehow give him a platform and you're out here proudly repping him like that's a flex? Dylan, do you think Sean's unhinged rants make you unique or different? Spoiler alert, they don't. They just make you look like a guy who laughs at his own terrible jokes while the rest of us cringe. And don't even pretend like you understand his fighting style. You like him because he says dumb things and punches people in the face. Probably the same approach you take to life, minus the punching. What? That was an awful roast. The man throws jabs like he's clocking in for a minimum wage shift. That's so true. And yet you're out here acting like he's revolutionizing the sport. And let's talk about his fight IQ. Oh wait, he doesn't have one. Perfect match for you, though, because your taste in fighters clearly reflects your decision-making skills in life.
Well, mean.
You think liking Strickland makes you edgy, but really it's just a neon red flag waving for all people to see. You've hitched your wagon to a guy whose greatest strength is not caring what anyone thinks, a coping mechanism you probably adopted when you realized no one thought much of you in the first place.
That hurt. All right, moving on to Lucas' next fighter, Justin Gaethje. Oh, so Lucas is a Justin Gaethje fan? That tracks. Liking Justin Gaethje is the most, I think recklessness is a personality trait thing I've ever heard. Lucas, you didn't pick a fighter. You picked a walking car crash who happens to throw punches.
That's fair.
Do you think Gaethje's just bleed approach to fighting makes you look tough by association? Newsflash, it doesn't. All it does is confirm you have no strategy or critical thinking skills. Just like your boy Justin when he's windmilling his way to either glory or humiliation. Let me guess, Lucas, you scream at the TV, "Just engage, bro," while Justin swings like a drunk trying to hit a piñata. Is that what you inspire to be, Lucas? Being the guy everyone watches, not because he's stilled, but because they're waiting for him to eat canvas? You probably tell people Justin's the most exciting fighter in the UFC. Yeah, exciting like a firework display where one goes rogue and hits a toddler.
What?
Watching him is fun because you know he's one bad decision away from ruining his night, and you've clearly modeled your life on the same principle. And don't even get me started on how his entire career is built on almost mentions. Almost beat Eddie, almost beat Poirier, almost became champ. Sounds familiar, Lucas? Almost like your high school football career, almost like your New Year's resolutions, almost like your ability to keep a girlfriend. You're not rooting for Gaethje, you're rooting for a reflection on your own mediocrity.
Oh, it heated up at the last paragraph.
My dad was with one of his friends the other night, and I noticed like last week that his friend followed Dotson's Court on Instagram, and he's telling my dad about how much he likes the content. This grown like 45-year-old man.
That's so weird.
So don't worry, you're not mediocre. People enjoy us.
That's good. All right, let's move on. Max Holloway. Oh, Dylan. Okay, I remember this one was great. This one was really good.
Of course, it's with O. Dylan.
Oh, Dylan. Max Holloway. Really? I get it. He's a great fighter, but he's also the most basic choice for a favorite fighter. Max Holloway is the Starbucks pumpkin spice latte of MMA fandom. Safe, predictable, and painfully overhyped. Liking Max as your favorite fighter is the MMA equivalent of saying your favorite movie is The Avengers. You probably tell everyone, it's Blessed Express, baby. You say that all the time. Like you're some kind of MMA insider, when really all you're doing is exposing yourself as a bandwagon fan. Do you even understand why you like him, or do you just parrot his lines because your personality is as hollow as his nickname? Oh, that's actually banger. Let me guess. You spent hours practicing his "it is what it is" catchphrase in the mirror.
Never once.
Hoping it would give you a shred of his swagger. Spoiler, it didn't. And don't even get me started on his "I'll take anyone, anywhere" attitude. Is that what inspired you to take on a lifetime of mediocrity, Dylan? Because unlike Max, you don't have the skills to back it up. You're out here trying to throw hands in Call of Duty lobbies, thinking it's the same as fighting Alexander Volkanovski 3 times. Oh, and how many of Max's fights have you watched, Dylan? All of them? Or did you just see the highlights where he shouted, "I'm the best boxer in the UFC," while dodging punches like he was Neo in the Matrix? Newsflash, liking him doesn't make you cool. It makes you look like every other casual fan who stopped watching after 2018. Here's the kicker. Max's whole vibe is about staying humble and putting in the work, yet here you are, a loudmouth living vicariously through someone else's grind because you can't put in the work yourself. You probably post his quotes on his Instagram thinking it makes you inspirational, but really it just screams wannabe.
Jeepers creepers. All right, it's Poeton time.
Oh no.
Lucas likes Alex Pereira? Of course he does. Picking Pereira screams, I need a favorite fighter whose resume can distract from how much I suck at everything.
What?
Lucas, you latched onto Pereira because he's the walking cheat code for looking cool until you remember his whole personality is just, I used to beat Israel Adesanya. What's next? Are you going to start flexing about other people's accomplishments too? You're probably the type to act like Pereira's knockout power somehow transfers to you. Newsflash, it doesn't. You're still Lucas, the guy who got winded climbing stairs and wouldn't last a single round in a cardio kickboxing class. And let's be real.
That's actually so true.
Pereira's fight style matches your personality. Stiff, robotic, and utterly one-dimensional. You probably think it's poetic that he moved up to light heavyweight because you, too, are always running away from challenges. Did you feel good watching him avoid Izzy like you avoid accountability?
Damn.
Oh, and let's not forget Pereira's infamous lack of ground game. You probably relate, too. Huh? No foundation, no substance, just vibes and hoping no one exposes you? Because let's face it, Lucas, if you had to grapple with anything real like your insecurities or basic responsibilities, you'd crumble faster than Pereira against someone with actual takedown skills. So keep pretending you're a real fight fan because you picked a knockout artist. Deep down, we both know that you're riding the bandwagon of the latest shiny thing to distract from the fact that you'll never be more than the undercard in the in the fight for relevance.
What does that mean?
I don't even know.
That doesn't really make sense. I think the most accurate thing it said there was me not having cardio. Sean O'Malley. Oh, Dylan, Sean O'Malley. Seriously, you picked the UFC's walking TikTok filter as your favorite fighter? That's not a personality, my guy. That's a cry for help. Yes, the AI actually said my guy. O'Malley's entire shtick is looking like he got lost on the way to SoundCloud rap battle, and you've somehow decided that is your king? Let's unpack your tragic taste in role models. This did a deep dive. First of all, liking Sean O'Malley screams, I care more about flashy knockouts and hair dye than actual skill. You're probably one of those people who thinks spinning attacks are the peak of MMA because you lack attention span to appreciate anything more technical than a Fortnite emote. Do you like him because of his style, Dylan? The man dresses like a walking Hot Topic clearance rack, and you probably see him and think, that's drip. I bet you've tried to recreate one of his neon hairdos only to end up looking like a failed clown school dropout. And let's talk about his career. Sean O'Malley's record is padded like your excuses for skipping leg day. That's accurate. True. Sure, he's got skills, but the UFC has been spoon-feeding him opponents softer than your feelings after this roast. The one time he stepped up, Cheeto Vera turned him into a discount action figure with a broken leg. I guess it doesn't know about him beating Cheeto Vera the second time.
Like, I've asked ChatGPT some questions sometimes. It's very outdated.
Yeah, it is. Oh, and his trash talk, absolute high school cafeteria energy. I'm the best striker in the UFC, says the guy who gets hit more than your Tinder profile gets swipes. I bet you rehearse his lines in the mirror, Dylan, hoping to channel even a fraction of his charisma, only to end up sounding like a budget YouTube prankster. Tough, man.
Oh, Lucas is a Robert Whittaker fan? Of course he is, because nothing says, I'm terrified of picking a polarizing fighter, so I'll just play it safe with the nice guy everyone likes. Quite like that. Lucas, you didn't choose a favorite fighter. You chose a personality shield. You probably think supporting Whittaker makes you humble and classy. Nope, it screams, I lack originality and latch onto the least threatening option because I'm scared of conflict. Whittaker is a phenomenal fighter, sure, but let's not act like you picked him for his skills. You picked him because he's least likely to get roasted until now.
True.
Do you idolize his resilience? Is that because you two are constantly losing to bigger, better competition in every area of your life? Whittaker's been murked twice by Adesanya, and somehow you saw that and thought, wow, this guy reminds me of myself. The only difference is at least Whittaker gets back in the cage and you can't even get back in the gym after skipping leg day for the last 5 years. And let's talk about the nice guy persona. You think riding Whittaker's coattails makes you look approachable? Nah. It just highlights how boring and unremarkable you are. You probably tell people he's a family man as it reflects on you. Lucas, you're not a family man. You're the guy who forgot his niece's birthday and brings a bag of chips to Christmas dinner. Rooting for Robert Whittaker is your desperate attempt to feel like a good person without actually being one. But here's the thing. Whittaker has grit, discipline, and legacy. You, Lucas, have excuses, a dusty PS4, and a personality of wet socks. Congratulations, champ. Congratulations, champ is crazy.
That's so sassy. I think I'm going to skip Song Yadong because it didn't really have that much interesting things to say about him. Okay. Let's move on to Wang Kong. Oh, Dylan, you absolute clown. Get the reference? Yeah. That's smart. Your favorite fighter is Wang Kong? Really? Of all the fighters in the world, you latched onto her like she's some untouchable prodigy. Bro, she's just the MMA equivalent of ordering plain toast at a 5-star restaurant. Forget aiming for greatness. Your pick screams, I like mediocrity because it's safe. Let's talk about Wang Kong getting fraud checked in her last fight, submitted by a nobody, huh? A fighter who probably couldn't get recognized in her own gym if she walked in, wrapped her up, and sent her home like it was her first day at BJJ class. And this is the person you idolize? Dylan, you're out here building your self-esteem around someone who taps faster than you swipe left on Tinder. The submission wasn't even some high-level ninja move. It was one of those textbook, let's see if this works subs that white belts practice on YouTube. You're basically rooting for the MMA equivalent of that kid who gets dunked on during gym class, but still insists I could have blocked it if I tried harder. And let's really break it down, Dylan. What does picking Wang Kong as your favorite fighter say about you? It says you root for the underdog, not because it's noble. She was like a minus 1,000 favorite, but because you've probably spent your whole life being one. You see her struggle and it's relatable because you've been getting metaphorically tapped out by life since high school. But here's the thing, Dylan. Liking an underdog only works when there's a chance for redemption. Wang Kong's highlight reel is basically just one long blooper tape. So what does that make you? I linked for some of the ones that were like less known. Like I didn't think you would know that much about Wang Kong or maybe even like Brian Battle or Zhang Weili. I linked their Wikipedia page so I could learn about them. So I had more knowledge.
All right, moving on to Diego Lopez. I don't want to read the Charles one.
Oh, that's actually
How do you say it's actually like, sorry, we can't do that?
it malfunctions.
Yeah. Oh, Lucas is a Diego Lopez fan? That's embarrassing. Supporting Diego Lopez is the ultimate, I want to seem edgy and unique, but I have no idea what I'm talking about move. Lucas, you didn't pick a favorite fighter. You picked a glorified UFC guest star. You probably tell people he's underrated. Yeah, because no one's rated him at all. You think being the guy who almost beat Movsar Evloev makes him special? Bro, being a gatekeeper for future contenders isn't an accomplishment. It's a job description. That's like flexing about being employee of the month at the gas station. And let's not act like you know anything about Lopez besides his hair and tattoos. You probably picked him because he looks like he'd play bass in a metal band you can't pronounce. Do you think liking him makes you cool? No, it just highlights how desperate you are to seem interesting. Lopez is a perfect reflection on you. Lucas, flashy on the outside, but unproven and forgettable when it really counts. You're rooting for a guy whose biggest claim to fame is losing gracefully. Does that resonate with you, Lucas? Does it hit close to home, knowing your whole life is just about a series of almost and at least I tried? Face it, you lashed on to Diego Lopez because you needed a fighter as mid-tier and unremarkable as you. But the sad part, at least Lopez has an excuse for being new to the UFC. You've just been underwhelming your whole life.
Jeez. Clearly doesn't know about his title run that started after an Evloev fight. Next one, I have Zhang Wei Li. This one should also be good. Oh, Dylan. Another Oh, Dylan. Your favorite fighter is Zhang Wei Li. All right, let's unpack this. Zhang Wei Li is undeniably a beast in the cage, a true champion. But knowing you, Dylan, I bet your obsession with her has nothing to do with respecting her skills. You probably just hopped on the bandwagon after her wars with Joanna Jędrzejczyk because you thought picking her would make you look cultured. Spoiler, it doesn't. It just screams basic fanboy energy. Let's get real, Dylan. Zhang's fighting style is relentless, technical, and aggressive. It's glazing her. All things you could never relate to in your life. The closest thing you've come to relentless is refreshing your Instagram for your likes on your gym selfies. And your version of aggressive is probably sending passive aggressive texts when someone ignores you. Meanwhile, Zhang Wei Li is out here flipping tires bigger than your entire self-worth. You look up to her because you're hoping some of her grit will rub off on you. Pause. But let's be honest, you're the kind of guy who gives up on push-ups when your arms feel kind of sore. Dude, that's you in climbing. You give up in climbing once you're a little bit tired.
Yeah.
Also, let's address the elephant in the room. You claim to be Zhang Wei Li fan, but I bet you couldn't name half the people she's fought outside of her title defense. Oh, and you think the spinning back fist against Carla Esparza was cool? Congrats on Googling her highlights. Real fans know that Zhang's greatest comes from years of grinding, not just the flashy stuff you saw on YouTube. Dylan, rooting for Zhang Wei Li doesn't make you special. She's one of the most respected and admired MMA fighters, and rightfully so. It's just glazing her.
Yeah, it glazed her.
But here's the thing. You're out here leeching off her success, hoping it'll distract people from the fact that you haven't achieved anything worth talking about. She's Zhang Wei Li, and you're Dylan. Keep dreaming, champ.
Ooh, I got him with the champ.
That was actually that was a glaze fest,
Yeah, it was
honestly.
glazing all over.
Yeah.
Moving on to Charles Du Bronx. I don't know how you could be mean, so
No,
we'll see how this
is
one
going to be
goes.
stupid.
Oh, Lucas is a Charles Oliveira fan? That's rich. Let me guess, you think liking Charles makes you look loyal, tough, and humble? No, it proves you're as inconsistent as he is. Lucas, you didn't pick a fighter. You picked a redemption arc to make yourself feel better about your failures.
Oh, come on.
You probably watch Oliveira fight and think, that's me. I've had setbacks, but keep coming back. Except here's the thing, Lucas. Charles comes back and wins. You come back to find new ways to embarrass yourself. He's got UFC gold, while the closest you've got to a title is participation trophy from your office bowling league. And let's talk about how Oliveira was known as a quitter for years. That checks out because you've probably folded under pressure more times than he has. The only difference, he overcame it, while you're still out here blaming the Wi-Fi every time you lose at FIFA.
No, literally, my Wi-Fi is so bad.
You love Charles because he's flashy, but let's not forget how he got slept by Islam Makhachev without putting up a fight.
Come on,
Is that why you relate to him, Lucas? Because you too fold the second someone actually challenges you? Oliveira's nickname is Du Bronx, but yours might be... Oliveira's nickname is Du Bronx, but yours might as well be Do Nothing.
Bro, come on. That's too far.
You think being an Oliveira fan makes you deep, but all it does is show you're clinging on to someone else's comeback story because you'll never have your own. Charles has risen from the ashes. Meanwhile, you're lying on your face down in the flames. Oh, that's a bar. There were some bars in here.
Yeah, it's pretty good. I mean, saying that he got slept by Islam Makhachev without putting up a fight, that's disrespectful. All right, last person, right?
Yeah.
Brian Battle. This one is iconic. Oh, Dylan. Brian Battle. That's your favorite fighter? Man, the Ultimate Fighter is really ultimate forgettable when it comes to this guy. And yet here you are acting like he's the second coming of GSP. Rooting for Bryan Battle is the MMA equivalent of being proud of participation trophies. Sure, he's technically in the UFC, but let's not act like he's headlining pay-per-views. Your taste in fighters is as mid as your text game, Dylan. Bryan Battle is a grinder, I'll give him that, but his career so far screams, I'm just happy to be here. And Dylan, that explains so much about you. You're not aiming for greatness, you're aiming for good enough. You picked Battle because deep down you see yourself in him, the guy who hustles but still gets overlooked. Let's be honest, you're probably hoping that if you root for Battle long enough, it'll somehow validate your mediocre effort you've been putting into your own life. And let's not forget the fact that Battle's biggest highlight is that head kick KO he landed in record time. Which one was that? Yeah, it was impressive, but it was also against someone who looked like they got off their fight camp off Groupon. That's actually good. Rooting for Bryan Battle is like bragging about winning a video game against bots on easy mode. Meanwhile, real fans are out here repping champions, and you're hyping up the dude who will probably be on the prelims forever. Aim higher, Dylan. Dang. Last part. This is the part that I remember and it got spicy. But the most hilarious part, you're over here trying to build self-worth off Battle's grind while simultaneously juggling 10 girls at once just to keep your fragile ego afloat. We all know why you're texting 10 girls, Dylan. It's because you need a constant stream of validation to feel like you matter. And just like Bryan Battle's win column, you've got quantity, not quality. Sure, you're talking to 10 girls, but how many of them actually care? Probably about as many people who remember the last time Bryan Battle fought. One, and it's you. You think rooting for an underdog like Battle makes you look humble, but in reality, it's just a desperate attempt to seem unique. You're out here shouting, I'm not like other guys, when in fact, you're exactly like every other guy who's ever sent the you up text at 2 a.m. Bryan Battle is the perfect representation of your life. Just enough effort to get by, but not nearly enough effort to make anyone care.
Why does ChatGPT think I'm a slut? I've only ever talked to one girl at a time.
Really?
One at a time.
ChatGPT knows, man.
They're lying.
It knows.
All right, moving on to Lucas's final fighter, our GOAT, John Dodson.
Oh, let's go.
John Dodson? Are you kidding me, Lucas? That's your favorite fighter? Liking John Dodson is the MMA equivalent of saying your favorite band is Nickelback. It's embarrassing, but you're too clueless to realize it. Dodson's career highlights is being the guy who almost mattered. He's a footnote in UFC history, a fighter who had all the tools but couldn't figure out how to use them. Sounds similar, Lucas? You're out here idolizing a dude whose biggest accomplishment was not getting completely destroyed by Demetrius Johnson.
That's
Twice.
So
Is that what you aspire to be? The second place finisher in the race for mediocrity? Let's talk about his fighting style. Sure, he's fast, but so is a housefly, and nobody's calling them champions. Dodson buzzes around the cage, throwing wild shots, hoping something lands.
What?
Kind of like you, flailing through life, hoping someone takes you seriously. Spoiler, they don't.
Oh.
And that personality, Dodson tries so hard to be funny and charismatic, but it just comes off as awkward and cringy. No wonder you like him. You probably see yourself in him every time you tell a joke at a party and the room goes silent.
Never been to a party.
Face it, Lucas, rooting for John Dodson is the most mid thing you could do. You're out here cheering for a guy who peaked in 2013, then became a glorified stepping stone, just like your high school football career, just dreams of becoming a pro gamer and your Tinder bio. Dodson's legacy is what could have been, and if that isn't the perfect reflection of your life, I don't know what is.
Wow. Well, that just about does it. We did all 8 fighters. I skipped Song Yadong because I didn't want to. It wasn't very exciting, but
I did look up. Have you ever heard of the YouTube channel Dodson's Corner?
What did it say?
It seems like Dodson's Corner is a YouTube channel and podcast series dedicated to MMA content, including predictions, analysis, and discussion about the UFC. Hosted by 2 friends, the show takes a casual and often humorous approach to talking about fights and fighters, aiming to entertain MMA fans. That is going to wrap it up for us today. Thank you guys for watching. Remember to like, subscribe, and comment, and we'll see you guys next time. Peace.
See ya.